Hey, this is Mike Sayer, your 401k advisor here at CUI Wealth Management, your retirement plan partner. Today I wanted to go over a common question that we get from people who are looking at leaving their current company or who have left and have a balance in their retirement plan. But before we get to that, I just wanted to remind you to like this video and to subscribe to our channel so you can get more of this type of information on a regular basis. So what are your options if you have quit your job or you're looking at moving away from a company and you have a balance in a retirement plan? So the first option you have generally is to keep the funds at the current retirement plan that those funds are in. So even if you've left the company, often you can keep the funds in that retirement plan. However, sometimes there is what is called a force out provision. And what that is it makes it so if you've left the company and the balance in your account is below a certain amount, the former employer can send a notice to you and let you know that if you don't make any changes or don't make any elections, then those funds will be either moved to an IRA or you might get a check for the balance in those accounts. Generally, what we see when this is the case is if your balance is between $5,000 and $1,000, you get moved to an IRA, and if it's $1,000 or less, you get a check. If your account balance is high enough to not have that triggered, or if the plan that you're in from your former employer doesn't have that attached to it, you can keep those funds invested and you can continue to make changes as needed. Now, here's another thing to keep in mind is if you keep the money with the former employer, 401k contributions have to go through payroll. And if you are not on payroll, you will not be able to continue to make additional contributions. So that is the first option. The second option is to move those funds to a new employer's retirement plan. So say you have left the company, you go to a new employer, and they have a 401k. Often they will let you move the funds from a previous retirement plan into that 401k or company retirement plan. Here are some things to keep in mind though. First is it's good to take a look at the fees of the previous provider and the fees of the new provider. You see, generally speaking, you have fees that can come out of your account balance. You're not writing a check out for those, but as a participant, often there's an asset-based fee, meaning a small percentage of the assets that you have in that account are taken out and paying for some of the costs associated with the retirement plan. So you can get a fee disclosure from your previous provider, and you can get a fee disclosure for the new 401k that you have, and you can take a look at the costs that are associated and make sure that it makes sense. Now you can request that from the provider. You can request that from your HR person, or usually you can log in and find that online as well. Generally what you're going to be looking for is under fee disclosures or 404A5 fee disclosures. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you move it to a new employer's 401k, you want to check to see how the investments compare, because unlike other options like moving to an IRA, which we'll get to in a minute, if you move it from one 401k to another, you're limited to the investment options within that 401k plan. And so if the investments are not great, then that doesn't make sense for you to move to the new employer 401k. But one of the reasons why a lot of people do move to a new employer's 401k is simplicity. The third option is to move to an IRA, and that it can be done as a non-taxable event. You roll the funds from your previous provider to an IRA or individual retirement account. The biggest benefit to that is, unlike a 401k where you are limited to the investments that are available in the 401k, moving to an IRA you can invest in just about anything you would like. The last thing that you can do, or the fourth option, is that you can cash out your 401k. And the only issue with this is that becomes a taxable event, and if you're under 59 and a half, if you're under the age of 59 and a half. That is also going to include, there's going to be a 10% tax penalty for early distribution, because remember, 401ks are made for retirement. They're not made to be a savings account that you're setting aside for whenever. So because of that, we generally are not advising people to do that. Now, those are your four main options: is leave it where it's at, as long as the employer allows that; to move to a new employer, as long as that's allowed as well; move to an IRA, or cash it out. Another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes funds have a vesting schedule. And so if you're still with an employer and you haven't left yet, but you want to move to another job, or you're considering it, one thing to keep in mind is to see if there is a vesting schedule. So the funds that you put in are always going to be yours. You can take those out in any of those different ways that we had gone over just now. But the funds the employer puts in, sometimes there is a vesting schedule, which means if you haven't worked for that employer for an allotted amount of time, you can't take the full portion of that. So sometimes it's a tiered structure where every year that you're with that employer, you vest 20% more from the match that they put in. And so after 5 years, for example, you'd be fully vested. Some have a cliff vesting where you don't get any of that match, or don't keep any of that match until you've met a certain time period. But the best way to take a look and figure out if your plan has that is to either reach out to the HR side of the previous employer, or if you're currently there, the current employer, and request a summary plan description, or SPD document. And that will give you a view of all the ins and outs of the plan, including the match, any vesting schedules, any eligibility requirements. And so that's a great place to look. Another way to go is sometimes the record keeper will have that information. Just like I said before, the website that you log into, they'll generally have a contact number that you can reach out and see if they know if there is a vesting schedule set up, or you can reach out to your retirement plan advisor. So those are your basic high-level view options and some of the pros and cons of these different options. Hopefully this helps, and if you're looking at any of those specific options, we ask that you take a deeper dive. You can reach out to us. We're happy to help you there. And I hope this has been helpful. Please like and subscribe, and our contact information is below. We're happy to help. Thanks again. This is Michael Sayer, your 401k advisor with CUI Wealth Management, your retirement plan partner. Thanks.